Meeting to order. The Board of Supervisors of Franklin Township will have invocation and then place of the flag to the flag. Thank you, dear Lord, for letting us gather here this afternoon to do the township's business. Guide our hands and our minds in the proper directions to help everyone out. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Did everybody sign in? All right, I tell you what we did. We'll have our visitor section now. We'll start with John.
I don't have anything.
Yes, sir. Just state who you are and when you
Steve
start.
Elliott. Last week there was last month, some discussion about the discharge of firearms near people's houses, and the township said that it would look into the matter.
Yeah.
Is this going to be something that's done zoning district by zoning district? Or
No, what it is it would happen and done in the Frisco area where houses are close and everything else. That's what that was all about. And there was some discussion about it.
Right. One of the residents was here, 6-9 months ago, and there was a bit of a conversation, and at that point, the supervisors and the solicitor said that impinge on Second Amendment rights and not really anything we can do. Evidently, there's been a rethink. I'm just interested.
Yeah.
My house is in the AR district. I'm assuming that house isn't. It's in a different zoning district. And
It was a different area. That's
Yeah.
why, different zone area.
And so if the township thinks about enacting something, would it only be for certain zoned areas, or would it be township-wide? Because I have a rifle range on my property, and I've got a fairly small property. Other neighbors of mine, not direct neighbors, they've got assault courses on their properties that are within 50 feet of a public road. So is this going to be some all-sweeping, we can't target practice, we can't go out and play whatever on our assault courses, or, I mean, what? I mean, I've got a Second Amendment right here.
We would probably have to take that case by case. That's probably what it'd be, because of the different locations and the different
Okay,
trees and whatever,
Right.
how close the houses are one thing or another.
yeah.
All right,
I have Mike Spiker here to observe.
all right. Keegan?
Rudy Harkins. Just observing.
Ron Harrodson was here last month for a meeting, and I'd like to talk about two possible follow-up issues, if I'm correct. One was the issue of Mr. Better's not completing the development, the units that he owns.
Where is this at, do you say?
Clearwater Estates.
Clearwater?
Yes.
All right.
And I thought from the last meeting that there would be some follow-up with Mr. Betters. Somebody would call him and talk to him, find out why he isn't finishing at least the units that are under roof. Is there any?
I don't believe that there was any indication that the township was going to do that last month.
No.
Because I believe Mr. Betters is simply buying parcels within the development itself. He's not necessarily the developer. So I can probably fairly certainly say that there was no follow-up in that regard. Is that correct, Shannon? I mean, there's no correspondence that went out from the township.
No.
You were going to look into about the road.
The road, correct, and we did do that.
Okay.
Okay. Specifically, there was a developer's agreement between the township and the developer when Clearwater was established. And the particular road that everybody was here last month complaining about is a road that was specifically excluded from one that at any point in time would be taken over by the township. So from a legal perspective, I've made that clear to the township that the township's under, or the supervisors, that they're under no responsibility or obligation to take over that road. In fact, it was clearly excluded.
Yeah, that was the Hidden Springs Drive.
Correct. Is that what it's,
Yeah.
the Hidden Springs? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have names
Right,
when
that's-
that they were initially developed. Now, there is a small stub road that I think would extend back into the land behind where your plan is, that the township had agreed under the development agreement to take over, which has not been taken over. That's something that the supervisors should consider, and I believe, I think that's the one that runs perpendicular to the road that you folks were complaining about, correct? If I'm thinking back, Shannon, to the plans, it's the one that runs perpendicular, but it's not the road that a lot of you folks were concerned about. That's a road that, again, under the agreement, we're under no obligation to take
Yeah,
over.
it's a private road. the one.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, back to Mr.
And we can, those are public records. If you would like copies of those, I mean, with the right to know request, you can make that right to know request. And Shannon, who's our right to know officer, you're correct. She can provide those documents to you.
If I may, I'm Fran Harrison, I'm Ron's wife at 124 Hidden Springs Drive. And to add to this, the issues in Clearwater development, I understood at the last board meeting on July 22nd that the solicitor said that he would communicate with Mr. Betters, our builder and developer, to find out what Mr. Betters' status is on completing the development of our community. There are approximately 5 units which need to be completed and sold. The lack of activity to complete the development on Mr. Betters' part in Clearwater creates unsatisfactory living conditions and chaos within the community. So is there anything, I understood that a letter would go out to Mr. Betters asking him why, when will this development be completed? When will these 5 units be completed?
I don't believe that we were ever going to contact Mr. Betters ourselves.
I was going to look at the plans, that's what I recall agreeing to,
Right.
is looking at the plans with respect to the development,
Right.
specifically the obligation of the township to take over the roads. But as far as what Betters is doing with that property, I don't know that that falls from a legal perspective within the jurisdiction of the township, because just because he bought lots does development doesn't mean he is the developer of Clearwater.
And, I mean, as a township, I'm trying to understand how a developer can come in, as he has, purchase only small amounts of this development. He's left 5 under roof that are unfinished. The weeds grow up without mercy around these units. It becomes a hazard. The roads aren't being completed. They're tripping hazards. We're all older people. And how, as a township, are there no rules or regulations?
Well, you have a homeowners association that can address those specific things, and in part is probably capable of addressing those types of things. So, that to a large degree does fall on the responsibility of the homeowners association. Now, if there are perhaps issues with respect to the height of grass or the like, we have ordinances that address that, but I don't know that I've specifically heard that complaint relative to grass height. I mean, we
I
have,
did not.
yeah, we have
So-
ordinances that we can address those types of things.
Yes.
But as far as the issue with the road, and when the owner of a lot intends to construct or complete construction, again, that's not necessarily something that would implicate the township unless there are some dangerous conditions. So again, I don't think we heard these complaints last month. If those are legitimate complaints, then we can have our code enforcement officer go out and take a look at those things.
Definitely, they are our complaints, you know. and
Well,
it's-
then I would recommend providing whatever information you have in that regard to the township, and we can have our zoning officer or code enforcement officer take a look at those types of things.
Okay, including the roads, because honestly, they are.
The roads,
making
again, the
nuisance.
roads,
No, our roads, we
they're
don't,
not the township roads.
we have nothing to do with those.
Yeah, so we just seem to be going in circles,
Yeah.
which I am so sorry about. I can't tell you how regretful I am.
From a financial aspect, I mean, the township has some vested interest in this community because these 5 units get sold, and that's based on $3,400 of taxes, that's $17,000 into your budget. And,
Are you speaking with respect to the roads?
no, just Better's properties that he
Well,
owns.
I mean, we can't force somebody to build, just people own lots all over the place that could have homes and businesses constructed on them, and, we can't force folks to construct.
Until they actually get a permit to
Yeah.
build something.
And again, with respect to the road, I mean, that's clearly not the township's obligation.
We can't do anything
Do you have a homeowners association?
Yes.
Then I would recommend getting your homeowners association together and consulting specifically with an attorney as to what rights the homeowners within that plan have relative to other lot owners within that plan. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, the second issue being, and we had talked, Mr. Norton, you came and saw the site on Hidden Springs Drive where Mr. Schaefer is logging, Jerry Schaefer is logging heavily. Our road was being, our little private extension road was being flooded before the logging. So I can't even imagine with all this logging that's going on in that area, and he has not called me back. I have called Mr. Schaefer.
Mr. Schaefer, yeah.
Yes, I have called him. He does not return my call. All we're asking from him, possibly if we could use his equipment, if his equipment could be used to dig deeper drains, and we would pay for materials such as rocks.
His counsel was here. Did you reach out to Mr. Garbutt? He was here last meeting, and in fact indicated that he was Mr. Schaefer's counsel at that time. So again, perhaps I would recommend that the homeowners association reach out. I mean, we can't force Jerry Schaefer to provide equipment. Again, that's something that is a private matter that falls outside the jurisdiction of the township.
And if in time we are actually flooded, if that water comes up deep enough that our home is flooded, then what?
Well, then again, people are flooded, unfortunately. In that situation, you need to seek private legal counsel and see whether or not there's a claim that you have against somebody with respect to the flooding. I mean, we've had significant rains in the last 2 to 3 years, which, the township is attempting to deal with to the best that they can, given their financial circumstances.
Private legal counsel is expensive.
But that's, I understand that, but
Yes.
that's what you have to do. I mean,
And our HOA is suffering because the development is not being completed. So it all stems back to Mr. Better's completing what he started. and his
well, I think
law-
it all stems well before Mr. Petter's buying lots, quite frankly. And again, that's why I would recommend that you seek private legal counsel, that the homeowners association does it, because there's not an obligation that I'm aware of, particularly in the developers agreement, that really places, again, with respect to the road or other matters, the burden on the township. I mean, I think the township would like to see those properties constructed and maintained.
Yes, I
I
can't see
mean,
why not, yeah.
But again, that's,
Yeah,
We can't do nothing about it until they start building. Then they have to abide by our building codes and everything else.
so you have no word on why Mr. Betters is just sitting quietly
Nothing,
on those properties?
nothing.
Okay, thank you.
I don't, yeah,
You're welcome.
What was the name of the other attorney that was here?
Charles Garbutt? Charles Garbutt?
Garbett.
Garbutt,
Garbett.
yeah, Garbett, I believe.
Thank you.
He's based out of Newcastle.
All right, moving on. Joe, you have anything for us?
Well, actually, a couple things. This is about White Pine Road, and Mr. Tanner couldn't make it today. I apologize. Just checking, actually with Ryan and Phil.
Everything's moving along, yeah,
Everything?
everything's, Attorney Lope and I have been in relatively consistent contact.
Okay.
We've exchanged documents. I know that Bill and I have reviewed notes and comments made by Mr. Lope and Mr. Tanner, and I believe that Mr. Tanner and Mr. Lope have reviewed
It's
documents that we've prepared, correct. We've got a stormwater management agreement draft in place. I've reviewed your homeowners association plan or proposed document. We've got somewhat of a, I'd say, pretty set maintenance schedule with regard to the stormwater management facilities. So it's moving along. I think what we're waiting for now is the final version of the plan, really. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's done. Like I said, something come up on his end that he couldn't be
Yeah.
here. He apologized. He said as long as.
Yeah, we're moving. I mean, it's, you know, I don't think that anybody's waiting for anything other than once that plan's complete, we can, you know, it's just a matter of, you probably know where you are on your end with respect to the homeowners association and whether or not all the property owners are dialed into that, correct?
Yeah, Phil and.
Yeah,
that's
good,
fine.
yeah.
There was one little thing that Mr. Tanner caught as far.
Well,
as-
and we've addressed that, correct, we've addressed that. You know, provided we have a right of way for storm
Yeah.
water onto your property, I don't see that. That's whether or not, once the road is adopted, whether or not the stormwater management facilities located under and abutting the road are part of that.
Yeah,
what the
normally when
township-
the township takes over the road, they take over the stormwater, the culverts and stuff too.
Exactly, yeah.
Correct,
But you wanna make sure they have an outlet for the water that comes through those culverts.
Yeah.
So that they don't get flooded, the property owner doesn't close it up
Right.
and flood the road.
And, yeah, we.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, I mean, every-
Something up on that regard, so hopefully as long as you.
yeah, I think everything's consistent with, I don't see there being any issues. I think everything's consistent with what we had discussed when you all met.
With that in mind, I agree on everything. The only thing that's, you just need to see the Mylar, is that,
The final plan, yeah, really, the final plan. And then obviously, we need to dot the i's and cross the t's on the various agreements,
okay,
okay?
hopefully sometime through this next month, maybe we'll get.
Well, I mean, it's as quickly as, yeah, I mean, everything's ready from the township's perspective, other than final review of the plan, but that's because we don't have the plan,
Okay,
yeah.
All right, Joe?
thank you very much.
Can we be excused?
Yes, you guys can certainly
Excuse
leave.
me.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hey.
Here to see what's
Tanner sent
going on
me
with
a
the
plan. I just
stormwater
wanted to- but I didn't
on my
have time to
mom's.
look over it.
Back in, well, Mike's been down, you've been down.
Yeah.
Supposed to get a drawing for the pipe, provided the drawing my mom had with the agreement between the township back in '83 or '84. And, I mean, these are all the people who live down around there. Wanna know where we're at with it, what's gonna take place, because I can't even at my mom's, it's so washed out, you can't even mow anymore.
Yeah, that's a little hollow like it's in there.
Well, the whole
and
way
it-
down
it-
through, it's rutted up like a washboard.
Yeah.
And last I talked to Mike, he said they were gonna check the catch basin, get the map off of Mr. Hummel, check the pipe, see if it's collapsed.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to get down there and check the size of the pipes and one thing and another. But Bill, did you, could you come up with any documentation when that happened years ago? Did they put that in? Did they have any?
No, I didn't find anything for that.
No.
When
I
that
don't
was done.
remember about when they did it, so I mean, I don't know if
Nineteen
they.
83 or 84, but
When they put the sewers in, that's when they put those pipes in.
Is that when they did that, Sean? See, I.
Greg Fox says the township has a responsibility for the problem.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm at the end of my rope, Jim. I'm either gonna take equipment and put the water somewhere else.
Yeah.
I've already ruined the mower deck, I've already went through belts. The
And
property's
lift carpet
washed
up.
away, and,
I know, I have a spot in my yard too.
well,
I got grass up there this high and I can't mow it and I got my mower stuck to it.
I mean, back in 83, my dad pushed dirt up there for the same problem we came to agreement with, was the pipe and the storm
That
drain.
catch basin between, it used to be Leventhal's and Plavesky's.
Right.
When I built the new construction there years ago, they extended that right of way, made it wider so that the utilities could be run down through there.
Uh-huh.
Then they put it back to the where it was. But that catch basin right behind, between Leventhal's and Plavesky's is only, I don't think it's 3 by 3 square.
That and up on Circle Drive,
Up on
they
Circle.
filled in the ditches with lawn where it used to be drainage ditches.
It made it all pretty. Well,
The water now comes out and down there funneled down.
so
Then it
there's
goes
even
down
more
through.
water. comes down.
Did the township road crew put the sewers in, or did the sewer authority put them in when they were doing that?
It's drainage, it's just storm drainage. The township, Al
Township put 'em in,
McConaughey
they put
and
pipes in this big.
Put cement pipes in down
cement
through our
pipe the whole
yards.
way
Those
down
are right
through.
on that map.
They went clean down across underneath Knox Avenue, and down around behind, well, Smiley's and Wrinkles now.
Pipe up here is what, this is now Circle Drive, Emerald's here and Silver's over here. This catch basin's between these two lots. It's down through my mom's under the road. Then Bob Smiley, he's in the nursing home now, but his yard has pipe and it's covered over. That's where it was left back in 83 or 84.
Then it goes into
It
an
it
open
goes
drainage
underneath the
ditch.
road and over to
It's
Smiley's.
just
place,
open
is that it?
behind
Right at
Bob
Mom's
Messina's
driveway
house.
there.
Goes down around towards County Line Street. Well,
And
they
then
did
Bob
new
Smiley's-
construction there.
Tim was gonna be here.
And they put some pipe or did something in there, and all the water's just backing up now.
That goes over and goes down Franklin?
It goes down around behind Bob Messina's house, and it goes
Wait,
down
one
around.
talking at a time, Larry, please.
Back then, I think, if I remember right, after we're under the road, Bob Smiley put pipe, and they covered it over down through his yard. Then it goes down behind, which was Ringles and.
Yeah, well, it goes, I think what it did was go parallel to that little road in front of Smiley's house. We'll say Smiley's house is
It
here.
goes straight this way.
Oh, it goes across on an
Right.
angle?
Comes right under the road, into their yard, and then down their yard, down
Well,
through.
I remember we
You put a catch
was
basin.
over here, we had to take care of water that was coming down this way. And what we did, we went across here and connected up to a pipe here, put a catch basin along there. So that's why I thought very possibly it goes straight instead of going on an angle. Because I know we connected up to that and that there's a pipe there.
I'm sure, I remember when he did that, but I think this pipe
Yeah.
goes on through his yard. down-
Jim, when you put the catch basin
Well, it
in,
must, go ahead.
they built brick up around it this deep, so the water's gotta get this deep before it can get into the catch basin.
Over here. But
Yeah.
coming down through here, all this now, it used to be draining out this way and out this way. This drainage up here is filled in, So it comes all down this way. And it runs down, you know where Knox Church is?
Yeah, yeah.
This is that alley here. So everything comes down here, and then stuff comes down here, because this guy here, Massione's flooded now, and then Justin's flooded over here in his basement. They're flooded down toward Cancelliers, because I don't know, this pipe used to take the water. Now, I got pictures on my phone of my mom, the water is this deep coming down through her yard. It isn't even getting into that pipe.
I mean, there wasn't a problem when Hurricane Ivan came through here, there wasn't a problem
Pictures on
with
your
water.
phone?
She has them, yeah.
These last couple little rainstorms, I mean,
We'll have to get down there and try to see what size these pipes are and stuff. And
Well, like I said,
maybe
I
we
know.
can get with you at the same time, you know, and we can find out.
I talked to Mike in July and I understood the flood, and he said, we're busy, the township doing this flood. I said, no problem. I said, let me know. Then,
Well, since then, we've had one of our guys he went down with a bad back, so now Mike's busier than ever. So we
the
only
last I
got
talked to either.
three guys there.
I'm
He hasn't
talking
had
to
a time to go down there, I know that. Yeah.
He was supposed to be looking for getting drawings, but,
Yeah, and we can't find any drawings that
well, we'll
have
hold a
that.
string from here to here, we'll know where the pipe is, because it ran, boom, right down there in the catch basins there. And I remember it being about a 2-foot cement pipe, but I said it could be caved in.
I
it's
don't
at least
know.
24
If
inch
the sewer
culvert
authority
pipe.
has a camera or something, at least see if it's functional.
Yeah. So we just have to get down and look at that and then see if maybe, I know they don't have a camera, but they know somebody that can, they hire one, you know.
Right.
And
I can remember when they ran the stuff off of Circle Drive and brought it down, I think it come past Josie Brandt's property.
That's where we're
That's where we're
talking.
talking,
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's where we're
I
talking.
can remember that.
right. That's it, that's that cement pipe.
That's a
And then-
divider there, this paper, this isn't an unopened alley anymore. Massione has the driveway on that part. And this was Brand's property, and this is my mom's property over here. And they put that pipe down, Bob Brandt didn't have anything to do with the pipe at the time, because underneath, it's all my mom's property, till you get to Franklin Street, because underneath.
yeah, when it gets under the road there.
Yep.
There's a catch basin at the corner of Knox and Franklin Street that has a steel lid on it.
Yeah.
There's a catch basin there.
But
And
it's
the
on-
next catch basin's clean up on that right of way between Circle Drive and my mom and dad's property, well, his
Yeah.
property now, used to be my property.
Yeah.
And then it goes on down right through my mother's yard, clean down to Franklin Street.
Nicholson Avenue catch basin isn't even working, right?
You got all the water comes out of that pasture field.
That's where I
This is
think
my
the
back,
problem
this
is
is my
coming from,
yard.
is that field. I mean, it comes across the road, the road's flooded.
That's between.
Well, that's
both
part of
wells.
it, no doubt.
You gotta
I mean,
swipe
you
your
know-
finger.
Oh, they didn't.
But that
And
was,
a lot of that's coming down.
William did or something.
that's
Just
part
put
of
it down there,
There's
cause
another problem.
I'll mess it up
because
again.
Wells was
That's
forming
my
that-
shed.
When that pipe's
Uh-huh.
put in, then that
This is
took care of the
between the
problem.
property and my neighbors. And the
Problem's
house.
in
Is this water here? I take it.
Oh, yeah,
Loose
it's a
down
big
this
river
side.
when
Yeah,
this happens.
that's what's coming down, it's not getting in any
And then it
pipe,
comes
any
across
catch
that
basin.
And I can show you a video. It's
Well,
really
That's probably
I'm behind
more
his house.
water than your pipe will handle.
That ditch used to be
There,
6, 8
well, you
feet
could
deep.
have a regular
Used to jump
rain,
bicycles across
That
it.
yard
Just put a ramp there and go down
is
a
full of
smiling
water.
driveway. Run
Even
bicycles,
now it's
jump
full of
that
water.
ditch
Okay,
when we
it's
was-
flooding
That ditch I know was
now,
half as deep
when
as
it,
this
in a regular
road.
rain, when it didn't flood before.
Wow.
Even in the regular rains, like,
Okay, then something's wrong with the pipe.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's what I've been saying, that's what
Well,
I've been telling,
Well, you know,
come down, put a camera in it.
This
there's
camera.
video.
so that's not just heavy rains where that's happening, I mean, it's
No.
happening with
No.
your normal,
That pipe, when it was put in, cured
Yeah, get
All
it.
of those
situation back in
Yeah,
80.
get it.
did you have an issue last year with the heavy rains last year, or just this
Yeah,
year?
It's not an issue like this.
This
It
is
was
their
damp.
field.
And there might,
This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I get the bottom end of that.
This is what we're gonna
This is
do.
That's where the pipe is, and that's where the water's on top of it.
It's like a whole
Well, I
river that
understand
forms
that, but
and
let's,
completely flows.
let's do it this way. I'm gonna get with
That's not even.
with Bill here, and we're gonna get down there and look at situation over and see if, where we could maybe get a camera down there, like you said, you know, something has to be plugged up. But where, I don't know. And that's the only way you can do it where that is probably a camera, you know.
Right.
Other than that, I don't know.
Well, like
how
I
you're
said,
ever
you know,
gonna-
Jim, it handled the problem since then. And, you know, we talked about the rains the last 3 years. I understand you get an exceptional 5 inches of rain.
But this is the
on
first
that.
year where that's happened.
But for the first 25 years, it
Yeah.
wasn't a problem. So,
I got a problem coming down off of my neighbor's hill beside my place, which I never did before either, but I got it now. So, but this is all, mine is all on the top and I can see it, and where, what you have there, it's down under. We'll have to see, Bill and I get down there and check it out
you
and
have
see
a
what's
copy of
going
the
on. Maybe I
right-of-way
can
agreement.
give us your telephone number there that we can call you, and when we get down there,
651-5450.
yeah. And then I can give you a shout and we can get down there together and see what we can come up with here.
You can take-
And I have an idea of what it's gonna have to be as a camera, like you're saying. Cause there's no way you can find out.
Well, like
We
I
don't
said,
even know
back
where the
in-
damn thing is now. We know approximately
Back
where
then,
it
they
is.
used that cement pipe, so.
Yeah,
If you can't get a hold of Doug, get a hold of
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
Because,
Like
take
I
his
said,
number.
being
They both
I,
work, so.
for the rest of the people around here, being I know these people for a lot of years, you know, so.
Larry Joe, give him your
That,
number.
Need
yeah,
my number? 724-944-0772.
yeah, so.
Jim has my number too.
Yeah, I have it somewhere. I don't know if it's in my phone, but I have it somewhere, I know that. So, that's what we'll do. And see if we can get some resolve on this somehow. I have an idea that.
Alls
pipe's probably plugged.
we want is some plan, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, we understand things happen, the township's busy, whatever, but like I said, I started the ball back in May or June.
Yeah,
Now we're in September coming up.
yeah.
We're gonna,
Well, let me see what I can come up with here on that. But, yes, sir. You,
I'm with him,
oh,
yeah.
Don't close the issue yet.
Oh, no.
My name is Bob Messina. My property is at the corner of Franklin and Nicholson Avenue. And I'm at the end of the drainage problem. And I talked to Mr. Hummel for maybe 4 or 5 months about this, but I feel that there's an unauthorized catch basin. And the reason I say it's unauthorized, it's the wrong size, is that I had Mr. Oleastro come over, and my idea was to excavate that at my cost. And multi issues. First of all, the unauthorized catch basin, it's costing extra thousands of dollars to tie into that. Why tie into an unauthorized catch basin that's on Nicholson Avenue? It's blocking the drainage that the municipality put in on Nicholson Avenue. And secondly,
we put an unauthorized.
no, not that.
Oh.
On Nicholson Avenue, the township has put in a drainage. But now there's an unauthorized catch basin
Well,
that
who
I
put this
feel,
in?
I'm not sure.
Whose property is it? Yours?
It's not mine.
Do you know whose property it is?
I believe it's the next door, which I don't know the people, I don't know the address.
down toward Dan Cancelier's and down that end. They had just.
Down there by that new house that they were building and
That's
they never
Megan
finished or
Hans.
whatever, I don't know.
Megan Meyer.
Is that what you're talking about?
You
Yes,
have
sir.
you have an open ditch
Yes, that's the second
on
issue, the
your
open ditch.
property between you and the neighbor. Then it comes out to that catch basin you're talking about. And then it's piped from there down to
County line.
county line, yeah.
There's an authorized catch basin in municipality put in. Below that, maybe 10 feet, there's an unauthorized one that Mr. Oleastro tried to tie into. It's the wrong size, it's a 24-inch he estimated. It was not put in by the municipality.
That's
My
what-
feeling is it's blocking the drainage, that's one aspect, blocking the drainage from these other homes. Secondly, the ditch behind my property is filling up with mud. I mean, I feel that the municipality should have continued that piping all the way down
to Nicholson Avenue, from the Smiley property all the way down to Nicholson Avenue.
If I'm right, the ditch that he's talking of, the pipe that's outletting into your ditch is an extension of the ones that you're talking
Yes.
about coming down from Circle Drive. Yeah, and that pipe with the unauthorized catch basin and that 24 inch, the 24 inch is probably undersized for it. And Mike and I looked at that, and we kind of think that that pipe was put in by the property owner, because he said
Probably, we didn't put it in.
the township didn't put it
No.
in.
Well, it's blocking the drainage that the municipality put in, though. That's the problem.
That's the problem on the bottom end.
That's the problem at the
Yeah,
bottom.
no, that's something that townships have a problem with, is property owners piping something without getting any kind of an approval for it.
That's why I talked to you, and have been for many months.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Can you help me out with
We can
piping?
get
If you
down
help me
there.
out with piping, I'll have Mr. Oleastro finish the job.
yeah.
And that would help all the other neighbors. I could pay for the excavation if you can supply the pipe.
But we're not gonna pipe behind your property.
Well, it's not drainage from my property, I can assure
It
you
doesn't
that.
matter where it comes from.
Well, it's coming from these other homes, it's coming from the springs that we've just been discussing for 15 minutes.
I understand that.
They did
Well,
Bob
that's,
Smiley's.
Pardon?
They did Bob Smiley's. There was a ditch going right through his property, and the township come down and put a pipe in it and drained it down
Yeah,
to
I
his
know,
place.
I know why we did it too.
Why?
I know why we did it, because it was from across the road,
Yeah, coming from my place.
up above, on the other side of the road from your place, sure,
Mhm.
is where it comes. That's
Well, now
why
just-
we put that in there, that little stub in there.
We'll continue it on down to the entire,
No, we're not gonna do that.
well, then you're gonna have this continued problem.
An open ditch is there, that's where the
Well,
water
it's filling up with
runs.
mud, it's blocking, and then you got an unauthorized catch basin, so
We'll take a look at this unauthorized catch basin.
that's my words, unauthorized.
Well, that's your word, yeah. I don't know.
I don't need.
Until I get down there and look at it, I don't know.
And Mr. Norton, my recommendation is when you go down with Mr. Hummel, to take everybody's comments into consideration.
Yeah.
See what can be done to assist these folks.
That ditch needs dug out down there. That thing when I was a kid used to be about 8 feet deep. We used to jump bicycles over it.
Yeah.
Now it's about 2 feet deep. It can't take the water. It just can't take the water. The township,
Behind
even if the
Messina's
township
place
digs
there,
that out
you-
with a backhoe and makes that ditch
Where you talk, behind,
behind Messina's and behind Smiley's. Dig that ditch and leave it an open ditch, but it needs dug down about 6 feet. It can't handle the water. When the water gets down around there, it's plugged up in that pipe that the new homeowners put in. Then it backs up, floods his yard, and then goes up underneath. Probably got that pipe filled up with soot and mud. That's why down the lower end, it's probably only got a 10-inch hole now instead of a 24-inch hole.
well, let's take a look at it.
It's supposed to be 30, it's over 30 inches,
Right.
is what Mr. Hummel told me. I can't put anything else, he told me specifically what kind of pipe and size and everything to
Right.
put in. So that's what I went to the, Mr. Oleastro.
Correct.
Well, Bill and I will get down and take a look at this obstruction you say is down there and let you know. All right? Okay. Or who are we up to here so far?
I'm with them.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Oh,
live,
you're
I
with-
live on the corner of Circle
Okay.
and Emerald. Now, yins did come and yins dug out, the ditches across the street. There's still raw water coming down from the field or somewhere at the neighbor's house across the street. Comes right down his driveway, across the road, and our front yard is just.
It always comes down off the fields, the high fields. We've had problems when there was cornfields up there, it was better because the corn sucked up more of the water.
Yeah, because I'll
Then
tell you
all of a
what,
sudden, if they don't have any crops up there,
till 2 years
just
ago,
fly.
and we've lived there since what, 83, did you say? Is that how? 83, we never, until a couple of years ago, and we had about 3 or 4 inches of water in our basement, our family room, with a split entry, down there 3 years ago, and then just this one last spring, my husband was shoveling like 8 to 10 inches of rainwater off of our patio in the backyard. Our patio's all cracked. But
Yeah,
he was trying mercifully to get it, to keep it from coming in the house. Now we have sandbags. So hopefully if, but it's just, I mean, it was ridiculous.
I know where you're coming from, because I had a foot of water in my cellar and it just comes in my drain. It doesn't come in through the walls or nothing. It comes down through the door.
Right, it comes right in through the doors.
It never did before,
No,
but
like
it
I
did this
said,
year.
We've lived there all those years and never had a problem.
Yeah, sure.
Is the plazas up there and the Hall's place and the plastic place, do they have proper drainage?
I imagine so, but I don't know.
Well, can you check
I don't
into-
know that for sure.
Yeah, can you check into that too? Because if that's all blacktop now, and if it runs down off there and they don't have the proper drainage, then it's gonna come
Yeah,
going
and
down.
I don't know that. to be honest.
Those places were prior to the stormwater management where you have to put the retention systems in. New stuff, they'd have to put retention systems in, but that was before those regulations.
And that's a problem with a lot of the development, is that it occurred prior to the Stormwater Management Act. And now, if you recall, we were discussing earlier with a developer, a stormwater management agreement and the stormwater management facilities and the need to maintain those throughout the life of those
She's
facilities.
saying is maybe stop by and say, hey, we're having issues down there, can you check your drains and see if they're plugged up here?
Oh, if that's what she means, I mean, that's up to
Right.
you guys to do that.
Because that knitting mill and stuff's been there forever.
Forever.
And, like I said, it's just, now there's a problem, maybe their stuff got plugged up in the floods and they don't even know that they're causing an issue downstream. I'm sure Wolverine and I'm sure the Halls would check their drains.
Yeah.
Somebody asked them to and said, we're having a problem down below, could you please check them?
Yeah, that was before they made you do it now.
Like I said, I'm sure that they have good neighbors.
So Silver Drive ain't no issue, cause that water goes down, it goes down underneath and then it goes over towards the old Fisher's Farm down the bottom of Mecklin Lane, that's where that water drains to. But
Alright.
I would like to say something too. My husband and I bought our house at 502 Emerald Drive, the log cabin, so we're like at the bottom of all of it. She's lower than us, she's the last one, and then down from there. When we bought the house from them, it was dry. And sometime maybe in the last 5 years, would you say?
4 or 5 years.
We've had a freestanding puddle that's stayed on our driveway so long that our ducks sit at that because it's permanent. Now, the water flow, something changed somewhere. And when it storms or it rains, it's a full river, like as wide as the property between the houses that comes right towards our house. I feel like if this continues, our basement is gonna have mold and the house could just cave in because it is so saturated that our black wall is deteriorating and our storm basement steps, it's full of water and there was water flowing through it in that last storm. And I brought it up there to show you guys, I really didn't see many of you giving any attention to the video I showed you. And I think that that's why we're here, is for you to see exactly how bad and how vast the amount of water is that's coming right towards our sunroom. And then it's going around our pool. Thank God when they built that house, it's kinda got a grade that goes down behind the pool to go down towards Charlotte's, or I think we would be flooded as well inside. And we do have a finished basement and we do have kids in bedrooms down there.
Yeah.
And we can't nobody wants to, fix any of the damage. Our shed is ruined. It's got water damage that's been there for 5 years. The bottoms of the walls are deteriorated. The cement is cracking and all of our things inside have been picked up and flipped over. Quads, personal items, bicycles, completely drenched in mud. And our basement now is starting to get mold growth around the storm door because there's no drainage, and we can't do anything because if we start cutting into our own property, then somebody's gonna question us of why we're doing our own thing with the drainage as well. But we have brought this up to you guys far longer than these other people said they have, and I know you've heard from us, so.
A lot of times, I will say, since we've had so much rain and water in the last couple of years that we never had before, these pipes that they put in probably 40, 50 years ago or whatever, they're not just big enough, and you could not replace them with all 2 and 3 foot pipes, because most of the time you don't even have the road clearance to drive on top of them if you got bigger pipes in there, you know. I don't know what the solution is to it, to be honest with you.
Cause our
But you
insurance
could
won't
not-
replace our shed.
Yeah.
So like, everybody's just saying that they're not responsible, and I know when we moved in there, it was not a problem, somebody did something
Alright.
somewhere.
It wasn't never a problem in my place either, but it is now. I have problems just like everybody else, you know, I really do.
What your problem is, when it was dry, you know, for a while, we was having the droughts, and they were telling you, don't use the water, don't be washing your car. Everything was dry, so you weren't getting the water. It's been pouring down rain for a year, the ground is super saturated, and when it rains now, the ground doesn't absorb any water, it runs off. Normally, we would figure 25 to 30% of the water would run off in a storm. But the way you're getting it now, you're probably getting 90% or 95%. It's almost like it's paved, because it's already wet. And that's why you're getting so much water, and the ground is super saturated around your house. You're gonna take some of that water. And the way you can hope for is if it dries up. Now, this month, the rain is sort of backed off. It's not raining like it was raining earlier in the year. If you look at the creeks are down, the rock bars are starting to show. For a while, the creeks were bank full. And basically, all we can hope for is that it eases up on the rain so the ground can dry up a little bit, and you won't get these terrible storms that you're getting.
Well, she's talking, she lives beside that catch basin, her property's about 2 feet higher than where that river comes down through now. That's what she's talking about, that 2 feet higher, she was dry, she was 2 feet higher. Now all that water's not going down that pipe you're gonna look at, puts it all over into her yard. When it comes down into my mom's yard, and her 2 foot higher funnels it on further down toward all my mom's place.
Was it always 2 foot higher?
Yeah.
It didn't run water over on her place before?
No, the yard's built here, there's like a gully comes down through, there's a catch basin, we used to take the water up there, there's a mound of dirt between them houses, you used to take the water up there, nobody had any water. Used to be able to mow out there after Mother's Day, it was dry out there. That's as I said, now a normal rain, it's a flood. Even now, if it rained today, you get down there, it'd be a river running. That's what she's saying, it's never been like that. So you're out to look, when you come down, I'll show you.
Okay.
I mean, I understand the ground saturation, but like I said, she's 2 feet high, higher than, she shouldn't have any saturation.
You mean the catch basin is too high?
No, the catch basin's 2 feet, 2.5 feet lower than her yard.
It's not taking the water?
Yes, that's a problem.
That's a problem, it used to, don't now.
Okay.
Well, water didn't even used to flow towards us how it does now. Now, if it rains, there's just this river that comes from.
That's what we gotta look at, it's that pipe.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with the pipe.
I think the pipe's plugged like he says, I think maybe we ought to get a camera in there and find out.
Catch basin's too small too.
There's no sense in starting at one end and digging the whole thing up, you know, if it's down there.
Well, like Mike said,
30
it may be a
yards
matter
or
of
50
putting in
yards or whatever it is, that's where you wanna dig it up and take care of that.
Well, like Mike said, it might be a matter of putting in a 3 foot plate
Yeah.
catch basin and be done with it.
Yeah, we don't know that until we find it.
All right, well,
All right, we'll take care of that situation as best we can.
you know, you got anything cooking down there? We're hungry now.
Not a problem, man. I'll make you whatever you want. Okay? I'll take care of you.
All right. All right, we're clear up to you, sir. What do you have now for us?
The reason I came with Dino today, we're trying to do that subdivision that we've been working on since March with Mr. Hummel.
Okay.
A very simple one. Dino wants to buy that 2-acre parcel. He's changing nothing, I'm changing nothing. We did everything that we're supposed to do. and Mr. Hummel's our engineer that we hired. We originally submitted it, they kicked it back and said they needed more information. So we supplied them more information in June. So week after week goes by, I hear nothing from the DEP, nothing from the DEP. I called Mr. Hummel.
Because I think that's all we were waiting for, wasn't it,
Yeah,
right?
we approved it.
Yeah, we approved it, subject
Yes.
to receiving written approval from the DEP.
Correct. So I spoke to Mr. Hummel in, I think it was July 19th, and he goes, you may want to call this William Vincent and see how it's coming along. I said, okay, so I talked to my dad, and you guys give the guy a call. So I called on July 22nd, 4 weeks ago today, and I asked for this William Vincent. Well, I got Regis Ryan on the phone. He said he left the DEP to get his PhD. I said, well, he was working on this for us. I said, we submitted this in May and we need more information. It was resubmitted in June. So he looked it up and he went over the 4 extra things that we needed. And he goes, the only thing he goes, it'll go through, because the only thing I'm missing is the proposed water flow. I said, well, he's a restaurant, he's been there for years and we're hooked into the sewers, he uses about $50,000 a month. He goes, well, Vincent had it down as a repurposed. I said, it's not repurposed, he's changing nothing, it's been there for 40 years. He goes, well, then what I need is for you to scan me 12 months of his water bills. I said, that's fine, sir. So I said, I'm dealing with, Dino on his end with different things on financing. He's on a timetable with the bank. Can you give me an idea when it's gonna go through? Because I process them as they come in. I said, thank you very much, sir. I will have it to you by tomorrow.
And you still haven't heard?
No, I think this is better. I scanned in that information on Tuesday the 23rd. Heard nothing back. I called him August 5th with a detailed voicemail. Did you receive it? Do you need any additional information? Please contact me, the office, my cell number. I hear nothing. I then emailed him on August 14th, figured maybe he doesn't check his voicemail. Nothing. So I guess I'm here just to say, where do we go from here? He said it was going to be approved. We're changing nothing.
I can't understand what the holdup is.
That's
It doesn't make sense.
That's where we're coming from, and I had no communication on their end. I mean, I spoke to this gentleman on July 22nd. I gave him information he needed. I understand it's not going to happen in a week. We're going on 4 weeks.
I'd recommend you follow up with your state senator or state representative and explain to them in the manner that you just did what occurred, and perhaps they can have someone in their local office or in Harrisburg make a quick phone call and say, hey, this has been going on now since June, actually.
Since it was recent.
It was actually earlier than that. Your sewer authority and Elwood City engineer both sent a letter saying that they'd been treating that sewage for 30 years. That wasn't enough for them. Then they fiddled around with the flows. They wanted the flow that would come out of the market for the new business that was going to be. And I says, hey, we can't give you that. We don't know what's going to go in there. We can't make up a flow. Well, we got to know before we can. Then they had to know where the sewers were located. And I said, what do you need that for? They're already connected. The sewer authority
It's like
inspected.
84, 85.
The sewer authority inspected them when they connected it.
That's what I would recommend, is that you do that. I mean, because as soon as we get that.
The problem is, when you go to your state legislature, you gotta make them sit down, because Marion Township wrote to their state legislatures, and they turned it over to DEP, who then turned it over to the guys that are causing the trouble, and they wrote a letter back, said, we're doing everything right.
Oh.
I mean, I did already send a letter, actually, to Vogel and to Bernstein about everything. There's like 4 different subdivisions that have been standing at DEP
Because-
and how long. And I said there has to be a solution and an easier process.
And they're not going to, I mean, there's nothing,
Oh, yeah.
Christie, that we can do to,
I'm just-
other than, Shannon,
I
that was a
did.
good idea to do that, yeah.
Because they're dealing up, well, the airport's having issues, you're having issues, there's another gentleman on Church Road, and then we just submitted another one, and it's just taking.
Well, I think they don't have enough, I mean, there's a lot of bureaucracy, but not enough have people to satisfy that bureaucracy, if you understand what I'm saying. I mean,
I'm just curious that, I mean, I don't,
They're not using common sense. Like, when they get letters that says they've been tapped in and we're serving them for 30 years.
why the need to do
What
this
more do they
additional,
need
correct?
with all these little, it's like, we're trying to figure out what we can do to hold it up. And then I think they leave it sit, because they'll say, we got 90 days.
Yeah.
And nobody, then when the 90 days starts getting up, they'll reject it because we ran out of time, so you gotta start a new file. It's like,
I'm just curious why the township, I mean, is this like a law that passed? Because it seems like you should be able to deal with this at a local level, where you know the people and you know what you're doing, rather than kicking it to the waterfront. of
Let
Pittsburgh.
Bill answer that question.
That has
He's the
no-
one that complains about all of these new, yeah, I mean, the state's mandating
Yeah.
a lot of this. I mean,
okay, the township, like if you've got a sewage, septic, you have to have your SEO go out and
Sure.
and test it and sign off. Marion Township, the guy in DEP rejected their SEO's approval, wasn't any good. He rejected ours for Siegel out there on Church Road.
okay, here.
Okay, and one of our clients over in Darlington Township, they've rejected that. They've cost those people thousands of dollars in cost doing, they've dug up their whole property doing testing. And then they throw out the SEO's approval, and then they start all over.
And you know, the short answer is it's the Commonwealth creating these requirements, these issues, these obligations.
We really and truthfully can't even, I don't like to say it like this, but we can't even help.
Yeah.
It's them.
But as soon as we get that approval,
Okay, we've been very patient. I understand
well,
that things
I mean-
don't happen overnight. I mean, I get there's a process, but
and understand though, from the township's perspective, I mean, they've done everything, I mean, that they can
Right.
at this point in time. I mean,
I'd say 2, 3, 4 years ago, this would have never happened. It would have been through and gone, and
right.
it was,
Because if he was buying a whole parcel, they wouldn't even go through them. He's not changing anything, he's not adding on, he's just.
I know.
I would think the township should keep after the politicians, if that's where you
Yeah.
send the letters. Make sure they respond to you and that they're telling you what they're doing, because like the SEOs that we're working with, they've been doing this for 20 or 30 years and they haven't had any problems, and all of a sudden the guy in DEP says, I don't like what he's doing, and they're starting to throw everything out that an SEO does.
I wonder if we maybe can stay on top of that a little bit more, and we'll write some more letters. But you write them too,
And
contact
if
them
we even
too.
get like, if they can even email us the letter, I mean, we approved everything, all we have to do is sign the Mylar.
I'm
it doesn't
just-
have
and we
to
have the
be-
Mylar here
Yeah,
right
I
now,
have it.
right, yeah.
I'm just frustrated with mine, because I talked to him, I gave him the info he wanted, I gave him a couple of weeks, he didn't call me back, I thought, okay, maybe just respond to his email. So I'm kinda like left in the dark, and here, the other gentleman was working on it left for his PhD, so I don't even, this guy.
And you wouldn't have known that but for the fact that you called.
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
And I know Ron Siegel said he's probably gonna lose a sale because of how long it's taking for his Church Road property, like, it's just,
Oh.
and I gave him DEP's number, and the head guy, I told him who to call.
Was that Regis Ryan?
No,
or-
Bill Davis,
no, it was over him.
Christopher Criley?
William Vincent.
That gentleman left. Vincent left.
Is it
Because he was
Hughes?
working on ours. He left for his PhD.
Tom Flanagan. Tom
Tom
Flanagan?
Flanagan's, yeah, he's like the head of the office. He's not the guy that's coming out causing the trouble.
Yeah, but Tom Flanagan's kind of the head guy. That's what I gave to Ron Siegel.
So you've
call.
kind of already followed up on our behalf and the other people's behalf.
Yeah.
Is that fairly recent? Or?
Yeah, recently, because we haven't gotten any, because and Bill's called me like 3 times or 4 times just to check to see if something, I've gotten something, and nothing. So,
Maybe
but
I should
yeah.
wait to see if you hear back
Yeah.
before we.
I'd pursue
I would
it,
just
yeah,
keep-
yeah, I would.
I would
wouldn't
just
wait,
be-
Christie,
yeah,
let's
'cause-
just make.
And I would call Tom, I mean, I can give you the number, it's just the Southwest Region Office, ask for Tom Flanagan, and I don't have it on me, but.
Tom has always been a real
He's
good.
very
Yeah,
down to earth.
and he's helpful, he's always been helpful for stuff that I,
And Tom Flanagan works out of the Waterfront office.
Yeah, the Southwest, yeah, the water from it, yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll call you tomorrow, get the
Yeah.
number. and-
Okay.
'Cause I really don't wanna go over people's heads with, I just,
No,
I'm trying
we
to play
should
by,
be able to
I'm just
get
trying to
some
play by the
answer.
rules and just so we can move on and move forward with what we wanna do.
Well, there's no reason that you're already hooked up, and why are they
That's what I
playing?
can't
And he
understand.
said to me on July 22nd, he said it would be approved, and when I tried to get a time frame, he said I process them as they come, that's why I scanned those the following day.
Well, the one over in Darlington, the guy called me, I don't know whether it was Regis or Vincent, called me in the morning, and he told me, it's approved, your approval letter will come out this afternoon. Then in the afternoon, he called and said, oh no, one of the guys in our office come in and said, he wants to go out and check it, there's something wrong with it. And they come out and threw it all out, and that's where they're digging all the holes and stuff.
But they don't have the sewers in that building.
What's that?
They don't have sewers.
No,
He wanted it different.
but
No, where you've had that in for years and years.
He had an approval for a septic system, and then the guy in DEP.
I call him every day to find a different person to talk to. Every hour. Yep.
Jim, you wanna go?
Okay, he said he's pretty nice.
Yeah, he's really nice.
All right.
And you sent him a letter too.
I didn't send him one, that's who I gave Ron, it's not, I gave Ron, because he has the same kind of subdivision that's been going on as long. He doesn't have a letter, but I gave Vogel and I gave Bernstein.
Both of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
both letters.
And this guy heads the DEP.
Yeah, he's one of the head guys.
Okay. In Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe I'll call him.
But he knows, I'm sure Ron's already called to complain last week about it, because he has the same problem.
All right.
Okay.
Let's
Thank you
continue
very much.
on here.
Thank you.
And you get a chance to look the minutes of previous meeting over, Scotty?
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve the meetings, or minutes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Is, under this correspondence, we do have the Beaver County Conservation about the airport is noted. And we,
It's just they received an
Go.
NPDES permit, it's good from August 2nd through August 1st, 2024.
yeah. And we, have done the Clearwater business and Mr. Richardson did, the work on the McGuire home investigation. That is already taken care of. We have anything from the planning commission?
We do have our last month's minutes, or this month's minutes. There's a new Duffy lot line revision, and then they also reviewed that internal property maintenance code, and they question on how this would benefit the township community residents. All four in attendance were nay on the subject. That's what they wrote.
They were all nay on the subject. All right. All right, Mr. Hummel, do you have anything for us?
No, nothing more than what we already went over.
Discussed. All right. What do you have for us, sir?
Nothing.
Nothing. All right. Do we have anything from the fire department?
Just a fire report.
Yeah, would you give us that?
Yep,
Please.
14 calls since last meeting. 1 alarm, 7 mutual aid, two vehicle accidents, 3 service calls, and 1 QRS.
Thank you. I don't know, do we have a police report in here?
It's part and available to the public to review.
They had 108 calls.
Pardon?
They had 108 calls before.
Yeah, we had 108 calls on our police report. Anybody wants to take the time and effort to read them all, there they are. We're not gonna go through every one of them. You wanna read the animal control office for me one time, Scotty?
We just skip over a lot of it. There was 5 calls, and The only one that wasn't found was a beagle on 288. They still have it, so if anybody lost a beagle, that was it.
Thank you. We don't have a road report tonight. And, but they're busy. They're over on Greenwood putting a big culvert pipe underneath the road, 24-inch one. What do we have on the new business? Anything?
Nothing, I said,
Nothing.
no.
You have anything for,
I didn't know, did you guys just wanna plan budget meetings? I could advertise like an hour before the next meeting, or what would work for your schedules?
how about your schedule? Would that work an hour before?
Like 3
Or
o'clock, or is that?
For next meeting month?
That's, yeah, it'd be kind of pushing it tight. Deb's got a doctor's appointment at 1.
We
on
could
that
do
day.
it following even. Do you wanna try just doing following the meeting? Would that be better?
Yeah, following the meeting would be
But you
good.
know what, Mr. Norton, I'm sorry.
You have,
Yes.
you have
You
your
have your
meeting.
meeting.
Pardon?
You have a meeting.
6:30.
I'll make it work.
Okay.
I'll make it work somehow. I don't know how, but I will.
Okay.
So it'll be scheduled for immediately following the regular
Yeah.
meeting in September.
Yeah,
Okay.
after meeting. All right. Now, we need to vote to pay the bills. Bring a motion to that effect.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
So carried.
I can't hear a damn thing.
And
Is there any
adjourn.
more business to be brought before the board at this time? Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
What is it called?